make them as leaders, so they represent our community accordingly. This is where we are lacking even now. I mean, the councillors we have, I like to speak in our language as well, so हम जो सारी है older viewers वो भी सुन सकें.
हाँ बिल्कुल आप अपनी ज़बान में बात करें.
The councillors we have as well, they are not competent. उनको नहीं पता कि representation properly वो नहीं कर रहे ईवानात ने अंदर जाके, क्योंकि उन्होंने ना एक जरी mentality है, वो एक typical पाकिस्तानी सोच है जिसकी वजह थू
मतलब वो इतने इंस्टीट्यूशन के ने जड़े रूल एंड रेगुलेशंस ने या हाउ टू वे फॉरवर्ड और नहीं
वे फॉरवर्ड टू टैकल इश्यूज उन्होंने इतना तजर्बा नहीं है या मतलब इतना इल्म नहीं है उनकी जिसकी वजह थू प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हो रही हैं. सो पर्सनली आई फील कि अगर इतना नहीं नौजवान जेरे इतने एजुकेशन सिस्टम ने थ्रू अचन उनकी मौका दिता जाए वो अगे जी रिप्रेजेंट करन, मतलब काउंसलर्स बनन, एमपीज बनन, और मैं समझना कि बहुत अच्छा रोल प्ले कर सकते.
जी बहुत शुक्रिया. हमारे साथ एक कॉलर हैं, देखते हैं कौन है. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम सलाम.
जी कौन बात कर रही हैं?
अफरीन कर रही हूँ लंदन से.
जी जी आप क्या कहना चाहेंगी हमारे प्रोग्राम में? आज हमारा जो टॉपिक है कि मुस्लिम यूथ जो है उसका बरतानिया के अंदर क्या रोल होना चाहिए, तो आप क्या कहना चाहेंगी?
वेल बेसिकली जो मेरी सोच है ये है कि we're not educated enough as youngsters to know where to go if we were to get a career here. Like for example, I want to work as a volunteer in the hospital. Yeah, जो है ना bereavement counseling होते हैं, you know, like how to help somebody feeling disability, living allowance forms, you know, so you would go when something happens. गोरों के लिए काफी हैं ऐसी चीजें हैं. अपनों के लिए we don't know what to do, where to go. Like if somebody passes away or if somebody is terminally ill, what do we do? Who do we go to? And I just want some advice on where to go and how to basically find somebody to help us as Asian, as community. I mean, if my brothers can tell me if there's anything that I need to do.
That's right. Okay, thank you for your comments, and you said we have a lack of opportunity, and you know, I think it's a lack of leadership. Earlier, both of my guests said actually. So hopefully we will do these kind of programs, and through the media we trying to educate our youth, and media can play very positive role, and hopefully we will promote these kind of programs in future. Thank you for your calling. जी वसीम साहब, जैसे कि सिस्टर भी ये कह रही थी कि अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं है, तो आप चूँकि यूथ के साथ काफ़ी काम करते हैं, तो आप कैसे हमारी यूथ को इन्वॉल्व कर सकते हैं इन अपॉर्चुनिटीज?
I think that the sister has made a very valid point. There are issues in terms of what services and what provisions are available for our community. I think that there's obviously the third sector, the voluntary sector. We have substantial organisations, and the Muslim community in the voluntary sector is really centred around mosques and madrasas, and I think that they should be taking initiative to bring in these services. I know in Birmingham and across the country we have significant issues in terms of funeral and bereavement counselling, and how to really organise funerals, you know, because part of our culture is to get the dead body as soon as possible for funeral and burial, and sometimes the burial is back in Pakistan or wherever across the world that our families come from, and I think it's about having a self-initiative as well. And what I would advise our sister to do is go on the internet. The internet's a very vital asset for everybody these days, and see if there are any such initiatives within London that you can join on with. If there isn't, it's about getting some people together, some young like-minded people, and setting up voluntary organisations, setting up community organisations. There's voluntary sector councils right across the country that can assist you in setting up these organisations. It's also a good social network as well to bring people together to work on a common agenda. With respect to some of the comments that Amar's made with our issue, I think there is an issue around our representation in the councils, in the boroughs, and in Parliament. But it's not just the people, the councillors or the elected members we can blame, because they're people who take the self-initiative and stand for election. It's about the electorate as well, who elect them at the end of the day and send them to represent them. So I think the electorate needs to be a bit wiser on what we do and how we promote people and really support people who can move the agenda forward. And we're here lobbying for British-born Muslims to represent us. And there's examples in Birmingham where British-born Muslims are representing us. And it's cross-party. I'm not just going to sit and
Yeah, but Waseem, you see the British Muslim youth is not interesting to involve in the politics. So how can we bring on the boat, actually? You got a lot of experience, so can you tell through?
I think it's about engagement. If we sit down and talk to our young people about what the issues are and what their responsibilities are in our communities, right? The elders came here, right? And they face such difficulty. They face racism. We're easy to jump on the racism bandwagon. They faced racism. They did the hardest jobs for us and laid the foundations for the second and third generation. It's up to us now to look after our elders and look after our community and move forward and become leaders. That's what we are now, right? And it's about engaging them and making them understand. We've done workshops right across the country where we've sat down with young people, explained what our issues are, right? We talk about the foreign policy of this government, right? We need to lobby our MPs and councillors, right? And we need to push people forward to become MPs and councillors, right? And it's about, I totally agree with you, our young people are isolated, right? Yeah. There's no engagement.
They involve actually in different activities. They are not interesting in politics, but very few people like you yourselves actually in this, who are taking part in the politics and to bring changes in the lives of our youth. So how can basically, what's your experience going to tell our youth, or what is your experience you can share with our viewers that they can engage himself and bring on the boat in the political system?
I think our young people and people right across the communities are always the first to get up in public meetings and blame the people sitting at the top. I think sometimes you got to take initiative and try to get to the top yourself. You got to have this aspiration. You got to have this motivation to say, hold on, if I feel I can do a better job than them, I need to get involved. Right? Our young people are so talented, right? It's absolutely unbelievable, right? It's about utilizing that talent. Right? And it's up to people who are active in the community, right? Our elected members to work with these young people, engage them in debates, discussion, get their feelings out, right? And then to train them up, right, as our next leadership. Our elders need to realize that there's a time when you have to move on, right? But you can't move on if the next leadership isn't ready. It's about training that leadership to take forward. And that's how our community can progress. It's all about progressing and really developing as a community and as individuals. So I think we need to take our young people. Our young people are so concerned. There was millions of people in the protests against the war, whether it was Afghanistan or Iraq war. We've had Gaza protests in Birmingham. There's young people who are really, really, really concerned about what's going on in their communities and with the foreign policy of this government. And we, sitting here in the United Kingdom as residents of this country, can lobby one of the strongest countries in the world to help our brothers in Kashmir, our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and address all these issues. And it's about making them understand this, and what powers we can have, right, and what role we can play if we do it properly and effectively, right? I'm not saying that there shouldn't be protests on the street. That's a freedom of speech, and this is something that this country gives us, but we need to move on from that and get people to represent us. I'm not just saying become politicians. Go, in every single institution, we need our representation, whether it's in the police force, whether it's civil service, whether it's civil servants in the local authorities, in the health service. We need our representation who understand our issues and that can move the agenda forward.
जी आमिर साहब, आपसे मैं पूछना चाहूँगा कि हमारी जो कम्युनिटी है उसमें यूथ जो है वो ज़्यादातर एक्टिविटीज़ जो पॉजिटिव एक्टिविटीज़ हैं उस तरफ नहीं है. मोस्टली जो जिसमें अक्सरियत जो है वो इन्वॉल्व है मुख्तलिफ जो क्रिमिनल एक्टिविटीज़ हैं, लाइक ड्रग्स एंड अदर एक्टिविटीज़. तो आप क्या समझते हैं उनको कैसे एंगेज किया जा सकता है? आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या बताता है?
Once again, Zia साहब, I think मैं फिर I'm gonna criticize the leadership once again, क्योंकि there are many programs government की there are उनके लिए उन्होंने इतने programs design किए हुए हैं for youths etc. have to engage them, but unfortunately our community is not aware of these programs, especially the youths, so they end up they take the wrong line, they get involved in criminal activities etc. Like Waseem said, initiative is a major issue as well. They're not coming forward, so the community has to become conscious and come to understand that they have to take this initiative to move on, become leaders themselves. But we have a platform